Ah, yes. Once again, I forget to close the VTube Studio overlay. One day I'll remember. Okay, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Today's May 23rd. It's Turtle Day. So that means we're going to be doing a little bit of science, a little bit of learning, a little bit of knowledge. Let me just grab up a couple of things here. Grab up my notes. And we will get underway. So, forewarning: there may be science will happen. There will be some words that may be complicated and Latin-y. There may be a lot of things that seem a little bit overwhelming. I'm going to try and break it down and make it pretty simple, but forewarning, I really like science, so much so that I did a science degree. I really like turtles. I like talking about turtles. Therefore, I will probably talk about turtles to an unhealthy extent with a lot of complicated things mentioned in between. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started. So, welcome, an introduction to turtles. Turtles are found in this chunk roughly of the world. So basically, turtles are found throughout both the... Oh, thank you, Sin. Thank you for Happy Turtle Day. It is indeed a Happy Turtle Day. So turtles are found in both the northern and southern hemispheres, although with a slight bias towards the southern hemisphere. They are found on every continent in the world, except for Antarctica. But obviously, we have some slight limitations up north towards Russia, Finland, places like that, because being reptiles, we do not like cold climates. So, moving on. I'm just going to talk about this real quick. This is kind of something that I knocked up for other presentations I'm going to be doing in the future. Just to talk about evolution and fitness. So, most people have a pretty rudimentary understanding of evolution, and it's usually kind of Pokemon. It's, Bulbasaur becomes Venusaur, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, that's it. I know my Pokemon. I didn't just fail at my knowledge. So, what does survival of the fittest mean? Survival of the fittest does not mean the strongest, the fastest, the biggest, the smartest. Survival of the fittest just means the most suited to the environment they live in. So, if you're good enough, then you can make a pretty good job of surviving, which is largely speaking what turtles have done, even though they have some pretty good adaptations to their environment that are very flexible and let them live in a variety of different areas. More importantly, what we talk about in science nowadays tends to be reproductive fitness, which is how good are you at getting some, right? How good are you at finding some attractive he turtles or she turtles and getting busy making more turtles. So reproductive fitness is basically any trait that helps you get busy. It contributes to reproductive fitness. Any trait that damages you from getting busy, like being a VTuber, these things all decrease reproductive fitness. So generally speaking, we refer to organisms as being reproductively fit or reproductively unfit. Furthermore, evolution is a pretty gradual thing. Organisms that have been around for a long time, like turtles, aren't necessarily more advanced or more primitive. Turtles, Ludicool, welcome in. Happy Turtle Day. I'm glad you're learning. So, organisms that have been around for a long time, like turtles, may be what's called more derived, which means that they are different in compared to their ancestral forms. A great example is turtle shells. So early ancestral turtles didn't really have much of a shell. They kind of had, a proto-shell, bits and pieces of armor, but they weren't fully formed. Whereas modern turtles, like me, had this nice big, wrong button. Nice big carapace on our backs. But that doesn't mean that I'm more advanced than my ancestors. It just means that I am different. So organisms can be reproductively fit while only being good enough. And did I mention this one in here? So evolution is not teleological. You don't start at something simple and become advanced. It's just whatever works stays. And as I mentioned earlier, unless something's detrimental to fitness, it may be retained in a population indefinitely. And I'll talk about that in a little bit with the sulcata tortoise, because it's both sad and amusing what the greatest threat to them actually is. And last of all, a beneficial trait in one environment may be detrimental in another, which is, again, an interesting one for turtles, because we have this big heavy shell, and that can be really useful in some ways and really kind of not useful in others. Liz, welcome in. Welcome in. Happy Turtle Day. So now that we've gotten the boring bit out of the way, let's move on to the other stuff. So, what are turtles? So, turtles are vertebrate amniotes, which means that they are, well, vertebrate tetrapod amniotes, which basically means that they have a spine, a bony vertebral column. We're tetrapods, which means we have 4 limbs, which includes all other reptiles, mammals, and birds. Yes, birds are tetrapods. They have wings and feet, which counts as 4 limbs. And then we're amniotes, which mean that we lay eggs. We have a membrane-bound offspring, basically. Simplified down a bit. So turtles are reptiles, and we're classified in the order of testudines, alternatively Chelonia. This is one of those funky things about science, particularly taxonomy and all those other things. Back in like the 18th century, people went out in the world and were like, hey, we're going to name shit. We're going to give things Latin names or maybe Greek names. We can't decide. Sometimes we'll give things Latin and Greek names. So some guys were like, hey, we're going to call these testudines, which is Latin for turtle, basically. Whereas other people were like, no, we're going to call them Chelonians, which is Greek for turtle. So testudine, Chelonia basically means the same thing. Testudine is a little bit more common nowadays, but they're basically identical. So turtles first appeared about 230 million years ago in the Triassic period. We are one of the oldest of the modern reptile groups. We predate a lot of the dinosaurs, not all of them, but a lot of them. Particularly things like, again, Tyrannosaurus, stuff like that. Turtles beat them to the goal by a couple of million years. The evolution of turtles is kind of a bit weird. We don't really know where they started, because there are a lot of things out there where we're in the fossil record where we're kind of like, it's kind of like a turtle, but it doesn't really have the full shell and other traits that are associated with turtles. Originally thought to be descended from the anapsids, turtles are now kind of considered to be our own reptile branch. I'll get onto that in a minute, what an anapsid actually is. Turtles are well known for our shells. What actually is a turtle shell? Well, believe it or not, a turtle shell is actually a fusion of the ribs. The turtle's ribs fuse over its evolutionary history into a single kind of solid mass, which protects all of the visceral organs inside the torso, and as well as most of our muscles and things like that. So the interior of the shell is bone, and then it's covered by a layer of scales that are made from keratin, just like what your hair would be made from, or your fingernails. And it's a question I often get asked. Snakes shed their skin, geckos shed their skin. Do turtles shed? And the answer is actually yes. Yes, they do. So if you look up on my shell, you can see those little plates around the edges. Those are essentially scales, large keratinous scales. When I or another turtle would be in shed, those will actually break off. They'll basically, an external, the older layer will break off. It essentially looks like just a large chip of plastic or like ceramic, and there'll be some nice new shiny fresh shell underneath, and they just break off in chunks. So unlike snakes, we don't shed in one piece. It just kind of all the bits break off till we've got a nice new fresh shell. And depending on the species, you can see this more prominently than on others. A great example, again, is sulcata tortoises. They get a really interesting stratiation on their shell where you can see effectively growth rings of where the shell has grown and changed. And overall, turtles are divided into 2 major groups, which are the Pleurodira, the side neck turtles, which are the slightly older group, and then the Cryptodira, which are the hidden neck turtles. So the Cryptodira are the ones that you might consider to be the most classic turtle, the turtle with the head that goes into the shell, like you would have seen in a cartoon or something. The Pleurodira are actually the turtles that I'm more familiar with because they're what's more common where I am in the world, in Australia. So this is just a quick diagram of the shell of a turtle. The top part of the shell is known as the carapace, and the underbelly is known as the plastron. These plates on the underbelly, on the plastron, these are called scutes. It comes from the Latin word scutum, meaning shield, but I always remember it because it's what you scoot along on. You go... The plastron and the carapace will vary in size and shape depending on the species. Some species have very large... this one, I believe, is for a common snapping turtle. Has quite a large plastron. But things like, for instance, the matamata and softshell turtles have severely reduced plastron, and in case of the softshell turtles, severely reduced carapace as well. So just keep on moving on. So, anapsids. I said that word earlier. What does it mean? Well, if you look at a skull, you'll notice skulls have got holes in them. You got your eyeball holes, but you got other holes in the skull as well. So, historically, tetrapod vertebrates have been classified by the number of holes in their skulls, fenestrae. The three main ones were the synapsids, the diapsids, and the anapsids. There are some other ones as well, but they're annoying because they're mainly fossils, and I'm not going to talk about them. So, synapsids, most mammals, they have one fenestrae. They have one hole in the skull. The fenestrae are used for anchoring muscles for working the jaw. Humans have fenestrae. You can't... They're hard to see, but kind of like if you feel up on like the side of your head when you move your jaw, you can kind of feel some muscle moving, and that will be around where your fenestrae is in your skull. Reptiles and birds, they have their diapsids. They have two fenestrae, so they have two holes for anchoring their jaws. And then turtles. Turtles are anapsids. We have no fenestrae. We just kind of anchor our muscles to various parts of our skull rather than having a hole for them to go through. Now, for a long time, this meant that scientists thought that turtles were relatively primitive because the anapsid in the fossil record were some of the first organisms to appear, some of the first kind of tetrapod vertebrates. And so it was for a long time thought that turtles had actually split off into their own group from the reptiles pretty early on, and that they had a very primitive body plan. However, some more recent research has actually suggested that they're not descended from the anapsids that closely, and that actually we kind of went backwards. We went down the same route as our reptile friends in the diapsids, and then decided, nah, fuck this, fenestrae are overrated, and went back to having smooth skulls. So I guess that explains my smooth brain. So that happens, and as I mentioned earlier, again, reproductive fitness is based on, you know, what helps you get busy, not anything else. So having two fenestrae helps the reptiles. Having no fenestrae either helps or doesn't impact turtles in living our lives. So going backwards and losing those may have been due to a selection pressure that gave us a particular advantage, but at the very least, it doesn't prevent turtles from thriving in the wild. So let's talk about the Pleurodira, the side neck turtles. These guys are the oldest branch, and I'm going to have some examples, so don't worry. I know there's a lot of words, but there will be pictures too. There will be turtles, and they're very cute. So, oldest branch of testudines. These guys protect their head by wrapping it to the side under the margins of the shell, because they can't actually... the way their muscles and vertebrae are shaped, they cannot actually pull their neck back into their shell like the cryptodines can. So, the Cryptodira. Instead, their cervical vertebrae... So, all turtles have 8 cervical vertebrae in their neck. The Pleurodira, theirs are kind of a cylindrical spool shape, and this allows them to have quite a fair bit of side-to-side movement. It's also one of the reasons why the majority of Pleurodira are either opportunistic omnivores or active carnivores. They're very good hunters because they have a very wide motion of neck. And trust me, we're going to see some necks. We're going to see some necky boys. These guys are found mainly in the southern hemisphere, so Africa, Australia, South America. And they're the smaller of the two groups, but historically they were, again, a bit more cosmopolitan, so they were spread out across every continent previously. They're mainly confined to terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems. You do have some species that kind of happily live in kind of a semi-terrestrial or semi-aquatic lifestyle, but things like, again, the mata mata, which we'll talk about in a minute, they spend most of their time underwater. Historically, there were marine species of the Pleurodira. Unfortunately, they're all extinct now. The only extant marine turtles are all Cryptodira. But where was I going with that thought? Yes. So anyway, my train of thought has escaped me, as it is wont to do. Anyway, moving on. So the mata mata, who I just mentioned, Chelys fimbrata. Look at that face. Look at that absolutely zero thoughts, head empty face. I love him. He's adorable and wonderful, and I love him. So these guys are found in South America. They have had a very tumultuous taxonomic time. I think they got renamed something in the order of 14 times in 100 years. So their current name, Chelys fimbrata, was given to them in 1992. They're found in South America, particularly in the Amazon and I think Orinoco basins. There is some recent evidence to suggest that there are actually two species, because the Chelys fimbrata, which is found in the Amazon, has a very distinct set of morphological differences between the Amazon population and the other one, the Orinoco population. So there's been some suggestion that we may actually need to split them in two and say, hey, they're actually two separate species. But these guys are pretty interesting. They're quite large as far as turtles go, or at least freshwater turtles. They're equivalent in size to their North American cousins, the snapping turtles. And they're also predators. These guys are obligate carnivores, but they're a little bit different to their snapping turtle cousins because these guys are ambush predators. Basically, what they do is they sit in a nice muddy bit of water, and you'll notice the schnoz. They got a very long nose. They use that to kind of stick their head up and breathe without really needing to move. And you'll notice they've got all these frills and fringes around the side of their head. Now, these are very sensitive. It allows them to detect motion, and it also camouflages them. So when they're sitting in the water, they just look like a bit of stick and leaf. And they wait for a nice little fish to swim on by, and then they do what they're doing in the top right here. They open their mouth. And these guys have a fucking huge mouth proportional to the rest of their head. And what that does is it generates a vacuum. So when they open their mouth like this, it creates a whole bunch of suction. He big suck boy. And that means that any fish that's right in front of him just gets straight into the throat. And then they shut their mouth very quickly, which expels all the water, and they basically swallow the fish or whatever small insect that they've grabbed whole. These guys eat mainly fish, but they will also take small mammals, small birds, small reptiles in the water if they can get them. But they're a very interesting species. Again, just so absolutely adorably zero-head thoughts. So moving on. Eastern long-necked turtle, Chelonia longicollis. If you live in Australia on the east coast, these guys are probably pretty familiar. You can find them in most ponds and creeks around the east coast of Australia. They're relatively common on the pet trade as well. These guys are pretty much an archetypical side neck turtle. So you can see in the bottom right here, we've got this guy, he's tucking his head. This is how the side neck turtles work. They basically just fold their head under the margin of the shell, and it gives them a reasonable amount of protection. these guys are actually pretty interesting in that they overlap with quite a few other turtles in terms of area of habitat. And actually, in the Styx River up in Brisbane, they will actually it's Queensland. It's up in Queensland somewhere. These guys will freely hybridize with other turtle species there, which means that they basically just whatever's on offer is good to them. They'll get knocking with anyone. But yeah, very common turtle. They're also colloquially known as stinkers because they have a set of musk glands in their anus that if they feel a bit concerned, they will give you a nice big squirt with some pretty foul smelling compounds. But these guys are unlike the Mata Mata. These guys aren't entirely carnivorous. They're obligate. They're not obligate carnivores. They're opportunistic omnivores. So they'll take more or less anything they can fit in their mouth. It's mostly small crustaceans, small fish, things like that. But I have seen one of these take a duckling. They will take anything they can fit in their mouth. But yeah, pretty common and a pretty good example of what our typical side-necked turtle looks like. So next up, we've got this boy, the broad-shelled river turtle, Chelodina chelidira. I'll get onto that in a second. Expansa. So I mentioned we were going to have some long boys, right? Long boys. These guys have the record for the longest neck of any turtle, right? An adult broad-shelled river turtle has a shell length of about 50 centimeters, half a meter. Their neck is as long as, and in some cases longer than, their shell. These guys have a total length of about a meter, 50% of which is neck. So yeah, my reaction exactly, Liz. Look at that long boy. These guys are amazing, and I love them. They're found in the Murray River Basin. Unfortunately, their population is not doing so great. So these guys are really cool. They're very similar to the previously mentioned long-necked turtle, the eastern snake-necked turtle, and they actually cohabit with them pretty commonly. These guys, however, have some interesting quirks to them, one of which is the fact that they're actually one of the longest gestating turtles ever, as far as we're aware. These guys went from laying the eggs stay in the ground for approximately 350 to 360 days, almost a year. This causes some issues, namely that because they're in the ground so long, the eggs are very vulnerable to predators, things like goannas, but also foxes, feral cats, things like that. And it's estimated in the Murray-Darling Basin that due to foxes, they're at about 93% nest predation, which basically means that 93% of nests don't make it. They get attacked by foxes. And this is kind of a problem because, again, these guys are in the ground so long, it just gives so much more chance for them to get taken out. The other issue is that they need rain. So these guys hatch, and they'll hatch in the nest and stay in the ground. But the hatchlings won't actually leave the nest until it gets inundated with water, with rain, because the sand that they're in is so tightly packed that they need that water to loosen it. So in a bad season when it doesn't rain, the hatchlings can't get out of the nest. And unfortunately, climate change and mismanagement of water resources in the Murray-Darling Basin means that these guys are struggling a little bit. The other problem is that these guys live for a fair while. We don't actually know how long, but some estimates say up to 70 to 80 years, potentially. They're one of the longest lived turtles out there, as far as we can understand. And that means that often it's very hard to gauge how well the population is doing because people go, oh yeah, there's loads of turtles, there's loads of long necks. The problem is that a lot of these might be very, very old with no real ability to recruit new, younger individuals into the population. So hopefully we can do better and manage these guys better, because I don't want to live in a world where there's no long necky boys. I want long necky boys for days in my life. Thank you very much. All right. And also, you might have noticed how I said Chelonia chilidira and kind of mumbled that off. Yeah, that's because these guys are a bit weird in that they're in their own little like subgroup, because cladistics is hard. Okay, moving on. The Mary River Turtle, Elusa macros. Macros. I fucking hate saying Latin. Anyway, so the Mary River Turtle, aka the Pet Shop Turtle, aka the Penny Turtle, aka the Soft Shell Turtle, aka the Punk Turtle. Yeah, I think I got about all the aliases there. So, why do these guys have so many names, and what's so interesting about these? So, the Mary River Turtle has been known about in Australia since about the 1960s, but it wasn't officially classified until 1994. Why? Because scientists didn't actually know that it was a different species of turtle. For a long time, these guys were very commonly collected from the Mary River and sold in pet shops, hence the name Pet Shop Turtle or Penny Turtle. But for a long, long time, again, like these were just like pet shop owners would go out, collect them, and sell them. And most, as far as most people were aware, they were just another type of, again, eastern long-necked turtle. It wasn't until 1994 when I believe he was a scientist and turtle enthusiast, was in a pet shop, and he noticed this thing was like, he noticed one of these in a shop, and so was like, this is different. This doesn't look like the turtle I'm used to. And so he inquired about it. He asked the shop owner, he said, "Where did you get this?" And the shop owner just, "I don't know, just out like in the river." And so it took him about 2 years of searching until he finally figured out that these turtles were coming from the Mary River and that they were a different species. The naming kind of was in flux for a bit, and that's why they kind of settled on Elusa macrurus, basically the elusive turtle. And that's also why the name was so variable, because they weren't entirely sure where they were coming from. That's why they finally got the name the Mary River Turtle. Originally, they were called the Soft Shell Turtle because if you can see on the left-hand photo, this guy, the margin of his shell has these serrations. That was their original kind of name that they were giving it. However, there are a number of turtles out there with the name Soft-shelled Turtle, so they eventually went with a different one. And its common nickname, the Punk Turtle, comes from this picture on the right. These guys have a really common phenomenon, which is they get algae growing on them, usually on the shell and on the head, which often gives them kind of this like mohawk of algae. But aside from that, yeah, they're a pretty normal turtle. Again, like a lot of Australian turtles, they're not doing great in the wild. Part of this comes from the fact that they were so common as a pet shop turtle for decades. So unfortunately, the population has been impacted by that, by over-collecting and other things, but hopefully, again, we'll see a bit of a recovery in the future. And they're pretty common on the pet trade still, just because a lot of people have them and now breed them captively instead of collecting them from the wild. So hopefully we will see a kind of more abundant population of these guys and their funky haircuts in the future. So let's go on to the Cryptodira. Are we all good? Do we need a drink break? Do we need anything? Any questions before we get onto the hidden boys? Okay, I'll take that as a no. We will continue on. So, Cryptodira, hidden-necked turtles. These guys have freshwater turtles, snapping turtles, tortoises, soft-shell turtles, and sea turtles. Now, some of you are probably going to ask, what's the difference between a turtle, a tortoise, and a terrapin? The answer is basically nothing. Funnily enough, the English language, much like any language, picks up words in kind of a random way. I've heard many different explanations about what means what. The common distinction that most people will say is that turtles live in water, tortoises live on land. That's good enough for a broad categorization, but generally speaking, it means nothing. They're not like all the tortoises. Like tortoises are in slightly different families. They're not all in one group like toads are. There are turtles that happily live on land, like the box turtles, who we'll talk about in a minute. They're pretty terrestrial without being tortoises. So all the names, again, just are very different labels for varieties of the same thing. But broadly speaking, the most accurate colloquialism is, again, turtles live in water, tortoise live on land. But really, again, the terms mean nothing. So if you see something out in the world and you call it a turtle, that isn't 100% accurate. These guys are incredibly diverse, much more so than the side neck turtles. The side neck turtles mostly live in water. The Cryptodira live in all sorts of environments, from deserts to rainforests to savannas to rivers and even the ocean. Exactly why this is the case, we don't entirely know, but they're again, a very interesting group in terms of the range of habitats they live in, but they do have some very common unifying factors. And the main one is they pull their neck backwards and up into the shell to retract their head. They basically have some weird joints in their neck, and they pull their head back in like an S shape, which also causes their kind of like neck skin to like fold around their head. It's kind of weird and a little bit gross. So that gives them quite a bit of protection. Also, interestingly enough, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but when they retract their head into the shell, there are actually quite a few species that aren't able to breathe when they do this because of how turtles breathe, which we'll touch on in a minute. When they pull their head back into the shell, they can't actually expand their lungs. So, in theory, this gives them a limit for how long they can stay inside their shell protecting themselves. However, most turtles are actually pretty good at holding their breath for quite a considerable amount of time. So usually they can just stay tucked in and hidden long enough to protect themselves for a potential predator to lose interest and go away. So, the snapping turtles. These guys are kind of a weird one in that they're I guess you could say a family of species. So on the top we have the alligator snapping turtle. They were a single species. Yeah, very kissable. If you look at the shell on the top one, you may notice some similarity to my shell. Yes, the design of Ando's shell was based off of an alligator snapping turtle. Ando is not actually based on any one particular turtle species, but I thought the texture on the shell looked good, so that's what we got. If you look at my reference sheet on Twitter, and you look at the back view, yeah, that's the shell that I've got. Alligator snapping turtles are kind of interesting because they're the larger of the two groups in terms of physical size. They were originally thought to contain only one species. However, in 2014, they split them into three, and they're considering that they might actually even be a fourth. So you'll also notice if you look in the mouth, you can see this little pink guy right here. This is a modified piece of the tongue that they use. They use it as a lure. So what they'll do is they'll sit in the water like this, right? Very, very camouflaged. They just look like kind of like a bit of a log. And they have this little pink guy that they wiggle around like a worm. And a little fish will come by and be like, that looks very tasty, worm. I will have this worm. Oh no, inevitable betrayal when they get sliced in half by this giant set of jaws. Interestingly enough, as I mentioned before, turtles are anapsids, which means that they don't have temporal fenestrae in the skull. They don't really have anywhere to anchor their skull muscles to for biting. So snapping turtles actually don't have that high of a bite force. However, bite force is kind of overrated when your head is essentially a giant pair of bolt cutters and you snap the jaw shut very, very fast. They also have their neck can extend out quite a fair distance. The common snapping turtles down the bottom, their necks tend to extend out further, but the alligator snapping turtle can still get you from a decent distance away. And these guys kind of share a range. They're found in the northern, like North America, so the United States, generally and speaking, in the southeast. It's very interesting because you can actually, if you look at the westernmost border of their range, it actually matches up with one of the mountain ranges in America. I think it's the Rockies. It's basically the only reason why you don't find these guys on the west half of America is because they can't get over that mountain range. So in theory, if you really want to try and fuck up some American ecosystems, you could airdrop some of these guys on the western side of the continent and see what happens. But yeah, very, very interesting guys. They're somewhat primitive in some regards. They tend to have a very... I wouldn't say primitive, but they're not strong swimmers. They live in water, but they don't really swim. They kind of like walk around on the bottom and just bury themselves in mud and wait for something to swim past and go, But yeah, very, very cool. Handle with caution. If you see one of these guys in the wild, don't fuck with it. Don't try and pick it up. Both the alligator and the common snapping turtle will happily and easily take a finger. They'll probably even take multiple fingers. So yeah, treat them with respect. Perhaps reconsider the smooching sin because, they may not take kindly because they're ungrateful. Now we got this guy, the pig-nosed turtle, Charetochelys insculpata. I love these guys. They're adorable. Look at that happy boy on the left and that grumpy boy on the right. These guys are found in Northern Australia. They're also known as the fly river turtle. They're really cool for a number of reasons. First off, they're a freshwater turtle, but they're almost entirely aquatic. They only come onto land to breed. Actually, not even to breed, to lay eggs. And if you look at them, they look really similar to a sea turtle. They more or less don't have feet, they have flippers. That's why these guys are a good example of, I guess you could say, convergent evolution, in that they've reached a similar body plan to the sea turtles, even though that they don't live in the same environment and they're not actually that closely related to them. These guys are actually more closely related to soft shell turtles, which you can kind of tell from their kind of they don't have the dermal plates on their shells. Their shells are actually kind of fleshy, although they do still have the fused ribs and kind of the armoring underneath, so it does offer them some protection. These guys also have some really interesting traits in terms of their reproduction. So these guys lay their eggs in the sandy riverbanks up in the Northern Territory, and they do what's called a diapause, in that the eggs become dormant over the dry season. So the embryo inside will fully develop. It will become a full-grown turtle, but it won't hatch. And it does that for two reasons. One is that synchronized hatching is a very, very strong evolutionary advantage for turtles. It's a very strong benefit to their reproductive fitness. Because if your nests or your eggs all hatch at different times, you get like one or two babies coming out of the nest, and then they get eaten by birds and goannas and other things like that. Turtles, generally speaking, are at their greatest risk when they are small. Turtles very much have kind of an R-style life history, in that their greatest mortality rate is when they are small, and when they get past, I guess you say, adolescence, they're generally at less threat of predation. So by having all the turtles hatch at once, it's kind of like a "fuck you, you can't eat us all" scenario. They just become a horde of turtles heading towards the water, so that, even if the crabs and the goannas and the birds try and eat some of them, they can't eat all of them. But kind of how do you manage that in a place like Kakadu, where you have a long dry season and then a rainy season? Well, these guys, as I mentioned, go into diapause. They develop in their shell, they stay in their eggshell, and then they do not hatch until the nest becomes submerged in water. Not just there's a little bit of water, the nest has to fill with water, which is actually how they hatch these guys in captivity is they will take the eggs out of the nest, they'll put them in an incubator, and when it's time to hatch them, they literally just dump them in a tub of water, which means that the little hatchlings have to break out of the shell underwater and then just go straight to swimming, which is pretty cool. Now you might think, oh, that's not great. These guys are like underwater and they're babies. Won't they drown? The answer is not really. They have pretty good at holding their breath, and they have some other tricks up their sleeve. That means that staying underwater, even as babies, isn't really too much of a problem. So yeah, pig-nosed turtles. I love these dudes. They're adorable. So next up, the box turtles. These guys are actually a full genus with multiple species, to the point that they actually have fucking subspecies. They're a real nuisance from that sort of things, because so you've got like genus Terrapene, which is like all of them, but then you'll have like Terrapene whatever from like particular states in the US. I'm not going to go into it because, again, North American turtles are not my specialty, but I figured these guys have some really interesting stuff I wanted to talk about anyway. So look at these guys. Look at how fucking fantastic they are. Look at how pretty they are, and look at how absolutely grumpy they are. I've never seen a box turtle that looks happy. These guys always look like they are fucking pissed off about something, and I love it. Next off, if you look at the shell on the right, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, where the fuck is his head and legs gone? Good question. So, box turtles, there's actually two types of box turtle. There's the American box turtles and the Asian box turtles. They're not related. They're both cryptid retracting head ones. What's the word? Cryptidanes. But they're kind of different, and they're named box turtles for different reasons. The American box turtles have this really cool adaptation where they actually have a hinge built into their plastron, which they can use to essentially close their shell like a box. So what these guys will do when they're threatened is they'll pull their head in, they'll pull their legs in, and then they'll pull up their little drawbridge, and they are a perfectly sealed armored shell. And they will stay like that until whatever is annoying them has gone away, and they'll peek out. So if something has gone away, they'll kind of drop the drawbridge a little bit, look out. If they don't like things, they'll tuck their head back in, pull it up, and just wait until the predator has gone away, and then they'll drop their drawbridge down, pop their heads out, pop their legs out, and go on their way. The other thing that's really interesting about these guys is that they have homing behavior, in the sense that they live terrestrially. They'll wander around the forests and the fields, doing their thing, munching on various insects and berries and other stuff that they find, but they return to their home locations to breed, and we're not entirely sure how they know, but they basically, like a homing pigeon, can just figure out, yep, I need to go this way to get to where I need to be. This unfortunately causes them some problems when it comes to things like roads, because these guys are stubborn little bastards, and they will quite happily just be like, cool, I need to go this way, and proceed to march across an 8-lane highway. This also causes a lot of problems where people try and help these guys, because what they will do is they will pick the turtle up and go, oh, Mr. Turtle, you shouldn't be in the middle of the road. I'm just going to put you off here to the side. And the turtle will proceed to turn around and be like, no, fuck this. I have to go that way, and keep on walking. So generally speaking, the advice with these guys is if you find one in the wild and it's somewhere where it shouldn't be, i.e. it's walking across a road or something like that, don't take it elsewhere. Don't pick it up and take it home or anything like that. Pick it up and carry it in the direction it was heading, because it will want to head that direction anyway. No matter where you move it, it will try and get back to where it was going. So again, if you just pick it up and put it off to one side of the road, it will turn around and just keep walking back. So take it in the direction it was going, put it down, and it will walk off happily to try and find home. Very cool little turtles. Okay, next up, the African spurred tortoise. I had to put at least one tortoise in here. Centrochelys sulcata. These guys are also known as sulcata tortoises. They are the third largest tortoise in the world. They're the largest mainland tortoise. They're the largest tortoise in Africa. Only the Aladabra and Galapagos tortoises are larger, and they're found on island chains. These guys are pretty interesting for a lot of reasons. One, as you can see on the right, they start off as being absolutely tiny. The babies are like 40 grams, yeah? An adult one of these guys can weigh up to 100 kilos, and they grow incredibly quickly in their first year. So an adult sulcata tortoise can weigh up to about 80 to 100 kilos, and can be up to a meter in length. They're pretty hefty, and they'll live up to about 80 years. They're quite popular on the pet trade, but this again can cause some problems sometimes because they do get quite large, and much like the box turtle, these guys are stubborn bastards. So you see that photo in the middle? Yeah, I found that on Reddit. It's a guy who had a sulcata tortoise. That's a male sulcata tortoise, and he had him in his own room. But my boy was getting a bit randy. He wanted to get busy with the ladies, and so he decided that he didn't want to be in his own room anymore. And so he dug through brick and then through drywall, and then proceeded to demolish that little hole he's made right there, just so he can go and get some. So, well done, my brother. You live strong and get all the lady turtles you want. But yeah, these guys are prodigious burrowers and really stubborn. So there is very little that you can put in the way of a determined sulcata tortoise that will stop it. You can do it, but again, it takes some effort. And yeah, they're prodigious burrowers in their home range in Africa. They live in kind of sub-Saharan plains around kind of the north and central parts of Africa. They usually dig quite large burrow complexes, and they use these to estivate during the day. So during the hotter part of the day, they'll move into the lower part of their burrow where they'll sleep, and then come out in the morning and the afternoon when it's cooler to kind of do their foraging. These guys are mostly herbivorous. They eat things like prickly pear cacti, succulent plants, any kind of berries and stuff they'll find, fruits. But they will also opportunistically take meat as well. In captivity, you shouldn't actually feed these guys meat too much. So as I mentioned earlier with the shell growth, you can kind of see the growth rings on these sulcatas. And you can see this one's got some quite prominent ridges on the shell. That's pretty normal for a sulcata, but it can also become what's known as pyramiding, which is where if you feed them too much protein or they don't get enough sunlight, they will develop MBD, metabolic bone disease, and pyramiding, which is a side effect of that, which is where the shell doesn't develop properly, and so it gets too pointy, and that can cause them problems later in life. Now, speaking of problems later in life and shells, as little babies, the little babies we can see there, sulcata tortoises are vulnerable to a variety of predators, things like goannas, birds, and again some of the large mammalian or larger mammalian predators, things like wild dogs. However, as adults, once they reach their teen years, the sulcata tortoise is effectively immune to most any predator in the wild. They are functionally invulnerable, and also relatively docile, but when threatened, they will happily have a go at you. They bite. They can bite quite hard, and also their very large pointy shell is also quite effective when used as a ram. You can actually see that the under the plastron there, they've got these kind of two spurs at the front, which is part of where they get their name from. And the males will actually happily use those to kind of ram into each other during the breeding season. But as I mentioned earlier, there is a threat to these guys, but I also just said that these guys are effectively invulnerable. So what's the threat to an adult sulcata tortoise? Well, living their best cartoon life, the greatest threat to an adult sulcata tortoise is getting stuck on their back and not being able to get back on their feet. Because as you can see, they've got quite a high domed shell, and their neck is only so long. So yeah, in true cartoon fashion, if these guys get stuck on their back, they can't get up, and they essentially just starve or dehydrate to death. And that's the greatest threat these guys have in the wild. So again, as I mentioned earlier with reproductive fitness, it's not about who's the strongest, the fastest, the smartest. It's about who can kind of reproduce the best, and anything that's not an outright detriment generally sticks around. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If your greatest problem is getting stuck on your back, you're doing pretty good in life. Okay, last but not least, we have the leatherback sea turtle, Dermochelys coriacea. These guys are really interesting. They are the largest turtle in the world. They are the heaviest non-crocodilian reptile in the world. In terms of size, an adult one of these guys is 1.8 meters long, which is the same height that Ando is. They weigh 500 kilograms. So, you know that sulcata tortoise, how I mentioned earlier, they get to about 100 kilos? These things weigh 5 times as much. They weigh half a ton, which is surprising considering their diet as adults is entirely jellyfish. These guys are actually really important for controlling jellyfish populations. And it's just, yeah, it's fascinating that something this large exists entirely on essentially a jelly diet. They just nom, 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 nom. These guys are actually pretty cool. They're in their own genus, which is Dermochelys, which basically literally means skin turtle or skin shell. That's because, unlike other turtles, they do have a shell. They still have the fused rib cage. However, they don't have the dorsal plates. They don't have the keratin plates on their skin. They just on their shell. They just have skin instead. They do have some ridges of nodules, which you can see, but yeah, overall these guys are smooth if you actually touch them, which I wouldn't recommend because they're hefty boys and they can give you a nip if they want to. But yeah, they're a very interesting species. They're endangered. Most of the issues with them being endangered come from, again, nest predation, damaging the nests while the turtles are developing, and pollution, and also occasionally boat strikes. They get run into by speedboats and things like that. But their other big threat is pollution. These are the stereotypical turtle when it comes to the whole mistakes a shopping bag for a jellyfish and accidentally eats it. So that gets stuck in their digestive system. The pollution load in these guys can vary. So one small piece of plastic can kill them, or also they've found examples of these turtles with quite a large amount of plastic in them living quite happily. So, well, as happy as one can be with a gut full of plastic. So it really depends on luck and other factors. These guys also have an issue with a lot of pollutants, to the fact that there's actually been some studies done about how useful they are as an indicator of pollutant in the ocean, because of the fact that these guys accumulate quite a bit of salt from their diet, which means that they also bioaccumulate things like lead, arsenic, and other heavy metals, which means that they can actually be, again, a good indicator for pollution. And also a common thing in sea turtles are what are called lacrimatory ducts, which are essentially tear ducts in the eye, but they're modified to use them to excrete salt when they're on land. So you'll often see turtles sitting on a beach crying. They're not incredibly sad. What's up, Avatar? How you doing? Yeah, so they're not just having a sad time. They're just excreting salt. And so yeah, they actually will excrete some of the heavy metals that they accumulate through their tear ducts. So it can be useful to kind of sample how things are doing in the ocean. So these guys are actually also one of the deepest diving turtles. They go quite deep. And I had another thing I was going to say, but I've forgotten what it was. Yeah, okay, moving on. Actually, no, I remember what I was going to say. This is about what these guys eat. So they eat jellyfish, right? So this is how they actually eat their food. They have what are called esophageal papillae, aka the throat goat. So this is the best diagram I could find of how this works. Basically, they grab jellyfish, they suck them in, and their stomach fills up with water. So they've now got a stomach full of water and jellyfish. They just want a stomach full of jellyfish. They don't want the water. So they have to vomit out all the water. The papillae, which are the spines, keep it in the throat. So it stops the jellyfish from coming out, but all the water can exit. And it looks like this. Ta-da! Yeah. That's what the inside of a leatherback turtle's mouth and throat looks like. Hence the throat goat. The thrussy. Yes. They look kind of horrific. They're actually not that scary. A lot of people, you see this circulated on the internet being like, this is what turtle teeth looks like. Turtles don't actually have teeth. Turtles don't have teeth at all. We toothless boys. See this grin? It is a lie. Turtles do not have teeth. So these guys are actually just, they're keratinous spines. They've got a little bit of keratin in them to give them a bit of stiffness, so they're actually closer to hair, really. Anyway, let's move on from the papillae to an important question. How do turtles breathe? So I kind of alluded to this a bit earlier with the Cryptodira and the idea of, okay, how do they actually retract their head into the shell and breathe? Well, most mammals and reptiles and other rib-caged organisms breathe by manipulating our rib cage. So when you think of a human has a diaphragm, right? When a human breathes, the diaphragm moves down, the muscle, and that creates a vacuum, a change in volume, which causes the lungs to expand and suck in air. And to breathe out, the diaphragm moves up, which pushes in on the lungs, which pushes air out. This is called tidal breathing. Reptiles do a similar thing with their rib cage, except instead of having a diaphragm on the bottom, they have like muscles on the side of their ribs that they use to pull their ribs open and closed to suck in air. So how do turtles do it if the rib cage is a single solid piece? Like if you can't actually move those ribs. Yeah, fair Avatar. Some have more than one diaphragm. But how do you breathe if you can't move your ribs? Well, the answer to that is the girdles. So turtles have two structures called the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a great diagram for this, so you'll have to make do. You can see them in the top skeleton there. What they basically do is they move parts of the shoulder and the pelvic girdle outwards. They move, this one goes forward and this one goes backwards. And this creates the same internal expansion that a human's diaphragm would, in that it creates a change in volume, which causes the lung, which is up here, as you can see in this diagram, to inflate and deflate based on how they move it backwards and forwards. So this is showing it down here. So they move the girdles forward and the girdle back, and it causes the lung to expand, and then they suck in some air. The other thing that turtles have is turtles actually have, unlike mammals who have 4-chambered hearts, turtles have 3-chambered hearts, which it's kind of a bit funky, but basically it means that they get a mixture of, in the third chamber, they get a little bit of a bleed over between oxygenated and non-oxygenated blood. And they have some funky tricks that they can do with some of their circulatory system to close off certain areas of it and close off certain areas of their heart. That basically means that they can isolate the deoxygenated blood and kind of keep the oxygenated blood in circulation for as long as possible. And that's how turtles are able to hold their breath for as long as they can. But we have another trick. And I'm going to embarrass myself by talking about this one. So, let's talk about breathing out the arse, aka cloacal respiration. So, turtles, like any other reptiles, like birds, like monotremes, have what's called a cloaca. So, the cloaca is a single orifice. It's used for reproduction and excretion. We're high speed, low drag. We only got one hole, baby. And so this is again a common hole they use for everything, right? However, many species of turtles have what are called bursae, which are special like air bladders and membranes in their lower intestine. We don't know what these were originally for, but one of the useful tricks they have is that much like a lung, they have a lot of surface area on them. They've got a lot of folds and other things and a lot of blood vessels in them. So again, much like a fish gill, they're able to exchange oxygen directly from the water into this membrane, which allows them to oxygenate their blood and essentially stay underwater for longer. Now, it's not hugely efficient, so turtles do eventually need to come up to the surface to breathe again. But if you think of it kind of like a fish gill, instead of a lung, but it's a lung up your ass, and you have to suck water up your ass in order to breathe, yeah, that's basically the gist of it. But it's very useful for a lot of species. Marine turtles will often use it to their advantage because marine turtles very rarely come on land. They often sleep when they're out in the water. They will use it for that because it allows them to basically go down. So marine turtles often sleep in one of two different ways. Either they'll float up at the surface in kind of like a nap. They won't fully go to sleep. They'll just float up the surface, kind of turn off part of their brain and breathe through their nose. Or alternatively, they'll take a breath and they'll go down and they'll have a nap on the bottom of the ocean, on the sea floor, usually hiding under some rocks or something like that. And then they will partake of cloacal respiration in order to kind of keep their oxygen up while they're in low activity state. And things like snapping turtles and stuff will actually use this to hibernate because they actually hibernate in areas that freeze in winter. And so what they'll actually do is they'll stay under the ice when the lake they're in freezes. And they'll either have just a little hole they use to breathe through their nose, or they'll just stay dormant under the water and spend the next, 3 to 5 months breathing through their ass. So I survive winter by breathing through my butt. What's your superpower? So that brings us to the conclusion of our presentation. I figured I'd finish off with the most important thing you need to know, which is that turtles breathe through their butts. That's key learning from today. If you learn nothing else, you have learned that we breathe through our asses. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's been about an hour. I figured that would be close to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down my PowerPoint and I'm going to find something else to do. So I'm going to send you all back to the loading screen real quick. Just going to scooch that away. I'm going to send you back to the title screen real quick. And did you miss the section on tortoise sex? Not really. I didn't really cover it. It's not particularly interesting nor entertaining. Tortoises, unfortunately, and just turtles in general, because of the whole shell thing, they're not that great on the whole, getting on top of each other thing. It does mean that male tortoises and turtles generally do have prehensile penises, but the less said about that, the better. So I'm gonna send you all back to the loading screen real quick, and I'll figure out what else I'm doing from here on out. Okay, we're back. I decided we're gonna do Subnautica because it's been a while since I've touched Subnautica, and I figured it's on brand for turtles and oceans and things, right? That's a valid statement, not a cop out, right? Yes, it's a correct statement. I am indisputable on this matter. What are you doing inside my house, fish? Hang on. How? How are you doing this? How are you doing this? This is an oxygenated environment, sir. How are you? What sorcery is this? He's mocking me. The peeper mocks me. Well, fuck it. Yeah, exactly. Cheeky skyfish. I'm just gonna go and tear up my biology degree. I just spent the past hour talking about how things, you know, need to breathe oxygen on land and all that stuff, and now I've got a fucking fish just floating around in the sky. Disgusting. Alright, actually, I think I need to go outside and catch some fish. Yes, so I stopped playing Subnautica. Not because I dislike the game, I actually do quite like the game, but it's just because I kind of hard-walled a little bit. I ran out of things to do. Well, I didn't run out of things to do, I ran out of knowing where I need to go. So let's see if I can figure out where I need to go next. But first, I've captured a cheeky skyfish, and I'm going to cook him and eat him as an example of the others. So let it not be said that I am an unkind dictator. Take that, skyfish. Come delicious. And hoopfish. I will say that is one of the things I do love about Subnautica. The design of a lot of the organisms. Like, they're relatively believable. Like, they're suitably alien, but, like, you know how sometimes Hollywood designs alien creatures and they just look like, you know, a mass of just, I don't know, things. Like they've kind of, you know, gotten a skinny dog and stuck a bunch of stuff onto it. I'm thinking about that movie with Chris Pratt in it. What was the Time War 1 or whatever it's called? Yeah, the aliens in that looked garbage. But again, like things like Subnautica and, believe it or not, the Avatar films actually have really good creature design. Have I got water for a sippy? I don't. Okay. Let me just, where's that? Where them fish boys? Bladderfish, come here. I need your water juices. Give me your bladder. Look at this vile creature. Vile creature. Alright, let's make some fresh water. So yeah, I should actually probably check what my current mission is. Give me that filtered water. Don't ask what we use the bladderfish for. Take a quick sippy and we'll also get some coffee. Coffee. Oh, that's right. I got the prawn mech. I got the prawn suit. So we might take that out for more of a spin. Once I figure out what I'm doing. Yes, just drain coffee into my empty coffee cup. Thank you. Thank you for my cafe Americano. How am I for batteries? Yeah, we got plenty of batteries. They are fun. Like, while we're here, let's just... zoop. Get into the prawn. It's a prawn mech. Like, I don't know, the day I got this thing was, it was a long odyssey to get me my prawn suit, but, yeah, it was good times. It's great. It's wonderful, and it handles great too. Because a lot of games have great vehicle designs that are let down by, like, terrible control mapping. But no, this thing handles great too. It's just that, yeah, it took me a while to get it. And also I love the docking bays. These docking bays are just so cool. Well, I built 2 of them. Yeah, well, time to punch fishes, but also I do have a drill. I have a drill on this thing, so I can do worse. So that reminds me, where am I actually going? Voice bank, data log, beacon manager, Seamoth prawns, suits, life pod, photo manager, blueprints. Alien eggs, enzyme host Peter. See, this again, this is the reason why I stopped playing Subnautica, because I couldn't figure out what I was doing next. I think I have to go down to the really deep bit. So that was the Shroom Cave. Diamond stash. I might actually build another beacon, because I did find out how to go down to the really deep bit. But I'm not sure if I remember. So, Fabricator. Oh, actually, did I build my thermal plant? I think I did. Yes, I think I did, because I have much power. Unlimited power! Creature decoy, grab trap. Waterproof locker. Beacon needs copper and titanium. Alright. Actually, let me just check my lockers, because I think I have a crap ton of copper. Because I remember I did go mining. Yeah, copper and titanium, exactly what I need. Fabricator. Beacon. Cool. Cool. Alright, where's my Seamoth? Seamoth. Time for moth. Whoop. Spleesh. I think I had another plane at some point, but I can't remember what it was. Sometimes it's good to not play a game for a while.
All systems online.
Because you forget what you were doing, and then you come at it with fresh perspective. Which actually, fun fact, I've mentioned this before, but I've never actually finished a Pokemon game. And the reason for that is the fact that usually what would happen, right? Usually what would happen in my life is that I would play Pokemon, and I'd have a great time playing Pokemon. I'd play too much Pokemon, and my Game Boy would run out of batteries. And then I would have to, like, beg my parents to get new batteries. And eventually we'd get new batteries, and by the time I'd gotten new batteries, I would have forgotten where I was up to, and then be like, well, I've forgotten where I'm up to, so now I must restart the Pokemon. So, yeah, generally I wound up getting to, like, 2/3 through a game. Actually, this needs repairs. Yeah, I would have gotten through, like, 2/3 of the way through a game of Pokemon, and then forgotten what I was up to. Let's equip you. Oop, no, wrong button. There we go. Repair. Alright, excellent. Now I made the Seamoth. So that's the Shroom Cave. Man, it's been a couple of months since I played this, but everything looks different, and I don't know why. Okay, this is the Shroom Cave. Went down here last time. But where's the whatchamacallit, the blood kelp clonk. Fuck you, you little biting bastards. Blood kelp, blood kelp, blood kelp. Where is blood kelp? That's right, I should probably activate the defense field just in case. Ooh. Oh no, that's a rock. Just a fancy looking rock. Thought it might have been some salvage. Nyum. Ooh, fuck off. Fuck off, sand tiger. Okay, now we're starting to get some depth. Now, is this going to lead me to where I need to be? Now, there's a vent. There's some alien shit. Okay, so these are the vents. Now, I can't go in or out of these. At least not at the moment. These things all flatten into me, damaging my boat. I need to fix that. That's bullshit. Okay, there's some scrap. Clonk. Fuck off. What have we got down here? Okay. So this looks like a canyon of some sort. Draw distance really is doing me no favors. Okay, so this is part of the blood kelp zone, I think. So this is part of the deep zone that I was in last time. Now here's a question. Have I scanned one of these things?
Oxygen efficiency decreased. Passing 200 meters. Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased.
Okay, there's nothing. Oh, what about this? Wiggly boy, wiggly boy, wiggly boy, wiggly boy. Ghost weed. Can I collect some ghost weed? Gimme ghost weed. Good question. Where's my moth? Getting the moth.
This ecological biome matches 7 of the 9 conditions for stimulating terror in humans.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Stimulates terror. Yes, so have I tried the ice region add-on, which is below zero? No, so it's a separate game. The answer is no. I do have it though. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off, displacers. I hate you guys. You know, I have the below zero DLC. Well, sequel, add-on, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I haven't played it yet because I wanted to finish Subnautica first. I've heard that the story is better in Below Zero. I've heard that it's a bit more structured. Because I do like the exploration aspects of this, but you do wind up getting in scenarios like where I am at the moment, where you're kind of a bit in the dark as to what you actually have to do next. What is making zapping noises? Is it one of those electro eels? It is. Or maybe not. Yeah, it is. It's right under me. Fuck off. Fuck off. Okay, I'm gonna need to... Those guys are annoying because of the fact that you can't use the defense system on them. Okay. Okay, repair, repair, repair. But yeah, no, definitely looking forward to playing Below Zero eventually. Let's do a bit of navigating. Ah, what is that? Is that uranium? Yes, that's uranite. Give me the uranium. Let me make the demon core. Call me Lewis Slotkin. It was Anton Slotkin, that was it. Let me wear cowboy boots and irradiate myself. Oh, there's more. Yes, for those of you who don't know, the Demon Core was the nickname given to a core of, I believe, enriched plutonium that was originally supposed to be used for one of the atomic bombs that was going to be used in the war. However, the war ended before the need for it arose. Oh, fuck off. Yes, the war ended before the need for it arose. And so it was never used in the bomb. Instead, it was used. Yes, instead it was used for atomic research. Fuck off, little biting guy. Most notably, in one of the labs, what they did was they put it between two beryllium hemispheres in order to contain the radiation, and they would adjust the positioning of the two hemispheres in order to adjust the rate of reaction that was occurring. However, this procedure was supposed to be done using basically special made metal shims to make sure that the beryllium spheres never fully closed, because that would be bad. However, the guys working in the lab kind of got a bit cavalier about that and wound up just using a screwdriver instead. The end result was that a guy named Anton Slotkin, who was working on it, accidentally slipped. His screwdriver fell out of the gap and wound up causing the hemispheres to close, resulting in a very brief moment of supercriticality where he got bombarded with a incredibly large amount of radiation and died about a week later. And that earned the plutonium sphere its nickname, the Demon Core. Oh god. I did not know you could do that. Oh. Okay, avoid those things. Avoid those things like the plague. Holy Jesus. Okay, avoid those motherfuckers. What else is down here in this hellhole? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I don't like the big crab squids. Also, this is really cool, and it's actually a semi-real phenomenon in that you can get varying densities of water inside other bodies of water, which can cause it to form essentially like, yeah, puddles. It's, yeah, weird. Liquid densities are a funky and strange thing. It's one of the reasons why you should never dive into a cold lake.
Terrain scans indicate this biome contains unusually high concentrations of organic and fossilized remains.
Okay. Okay, no, I can't scan that. It's interesting, my Seamoth is normally pink, but down here it goes like a blue color. Because of the variability in... Let me just take that real quick.
Vital signs stabilizing.
I am losing O2 kind of quickly. Ow, 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 ow. Go away, go away, go away.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
That's a big fucking Leviathan. I want very little to do with that. Actually, while I'm here, I might just do some quick repairs. What's this? This is some form of rock outcrop that I can probably mine. Let me just... Titanium. Danshies, welcome in. Happy Turtle Day to you too. It's been a pretty good Turtle Day. Yes, if you've just got here, you've missed out on the turtle presentation, but that's okay, because there will be a VOD, so you can go back and watch the first hour of that, where I explain all of the wonderful things about turtles, and why you should submit to your turtle overlords, you should give all of your money and worldly possessions to the turtles. I for one, am in no way biased and welcome our new turtle overlords. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off, Hypnofish. Does anyone else not like all the kind of, like, ominous screaming that's going on right now? Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. Be gone. That's interesting. I don't know why this thing doesn't have a throat, but anyway. This is my new home. Okay, has the big woman gone away? Has the giant screamy boy gone away? Is there anything of value in here? That looks like a rock of some sort. What are you? Lithium. Gold. Yeah, is it a MILF? I don't know. Monster I'd like to fight? Maybe not. I don't know. I may need an external opinion, but I don't think that this thing is particularly high on my smoochable list. There are plenty of things out there where I'm definitely a proponent of wood. Oh, fuck off. No, 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 no. Go away, screamy ass. Oh. Be gone, be gone. Didn't think it could follow me in there. That's what I'm endeavoring to do. Alright, has it fucked off? Ah, no. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You broke my Seamoth. I am now Sag. I'm Sag because this motherfucker broke my Seamoth and now I have to go home on foot. I'm probably gonna drown. See, this is why I don't come down here. I don't come down this neighborhood. Oh god, fuck off, crab spider. Yes, that may be advisable. Ow. Okay, apparently those hurt. Learning experience, learning experience. Is there a way out? Is there a way out? Can we make it out? I don't think we will.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it. Come on, go, 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 go. I know, I'm swimming. I'm gassing it. And I'm probably gonna die. Sag. I think that's the third Seamoth I've lost. Ow. F. F for the Seamoth. I died and lost some belongings. What did I lose? Ah, damn it, I lost my uranium. Yes, unfortunate. Okay, what do I need to build a new Seamoth? Let's just... whoop. Disappointed, I really like that Seamoth. Alright, Moth. What do I need for Moth? Neptune escape rocket. Neptune launch platform. Ah, okay. I could start getting working on that. Huh. Zyklop. Alright, so I need lubricant lead power cell glass. And titanium ingots. Reminds me, how do I exit this thing? There we go. Yeah, I am a little bit lazy when it comes to acquiring materials. So I don't actually really have a lot of the weapons yet. I usually have kind of followed a practice of just avoid anything that wants to kill me. Okay, silica. Give me glass. Okay, glass. Yes, because I've heard mixed things on the utility of some of the weapons in this game. Because a lot of the stuff I've read about it, it's like, oh yeah, you can get torpedoes for this thing, but they're not very good. So we will see. That's blood oil. Let me just stash a ruby real quick. Oof. That's what I need. I've got my lead. I've got that. I need ingot. Might need to take the prawn out and do some mining. Yes, I've heard of many of the benefits of having a Cyclops. The only problem with the Cyclops at the moment is I need to, well, I need the resources for one. I also need to find all the ingredients for one, because I think I have the aft section and the... Yeah, so I've got the engine and I've got the bridge. It's the hull that I'm missing. So I can build the front end of a Seamoth. Front end of Cyclops. I can build the back end of a Cyclops, but I can't build the middle bit of a Cyclops. I keep forgetting that you can't walk on this thing when it's in dock. Alright. What have you got in your storage? You've got a whole bunch of gold and magnite. Prawn time. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that I have things I can do. Okay. Let's get out of the prawn real quick. Isn't there a... I thought there was a way to just scan for stuff. Oh, well, let's go wreck. Thought there was a way to scan for just titanium, but anyway. Let's go for a wander. Because ideally what we'll do is we'll find a nice big chunk of titanium and grind that up. Because I do like the prawn, I just find it's a little bit less convenient sometimes than the Seamoth. Actually, this might be useful because I can probably scan this beacon fragment. Yes, give it to me. Yes, titanium. Delicious, delicious titanium. Contains all the nutrients a growing turtle needs. Grab trap. How are we for O2? We're fine. It's a peeper. How are we for food? We're also fine there as well. Oh, can I... Yes, metal salvage. I think that might be enough. We'll just break this open just in case. It's got titanium in it. Copper. Bah. Can't take that. My inventory is full. Oh. Is this... No, this is nothing. This is garbage. Okay, let's go home. I do love the amount of mass the mech has. Like, it's just... It's girthy. Yeah, I figured that might be the case. The only hard bit so far, again, has been finding those bits that I need. Because, again, like, it gets to a certain point in this game where you wind up swimming around a lot for not too much outcome. I had a couple of streams where I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to make, like, the mech this stream. And then I'd spend 2 hours swimming around looking for components or for, like it took me for ages to find magnetite in the shroom cave. So yeah, it can be a bit challenging sometimes acquiring all the things you need. I have a power cell somewhere. Spare power cells. Spare power cells. No, it's okay. Cyclops engine efficiency. Oh yeah, I have a lot of lockers. I should probably build more lockers, to be honest. Also, I need seedy boys. I need seedy boys to make lube. Castaways make do.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Fabricate. Basic materials. Lubricant. Always remember to lubricate your Seamoth. Equipment. Power cell. Battery. 2 batteries and silicon rubber. Well, I got a shit ton of that if memory serves. Power cell. Okay. Let's go build the moth. It's going to require a bit more work because I had a really well upgraded moth. I had like the dive upgrade and the durability upgrade. I'm really annoyed that guy wrecked my car. Also, is this thing going to clonk onto my base? It better not clonk onto my base. It did. You're fucking kidding me. Fucking brand new Seamoth already at 91%. Alright, now I gotta give it the paint job. Okay. There we go. We got the pink. What upgrades can we put on this thing? Common modules. Hull reinforcement. 3 titanium, lithium, and diamonds. I've got diamonds, I think. Engine efficiency. I don't know how to make polyaniline yet. Storage module. Titanium and lithium. So those are the 2 I think I'm probably going to want. Depth module. Titanium and glass. Polyaniline. Oh no, I do know how to make polyaniline because I had that. Unless I stole it from somewhere else. Torpedoes. Sonar. Vortex torpedoes. What's the better one? Vortex or gas? Anyway. Maybe it is time to choose violence. Anyone else? Let's fuck some of these off. Let us. Okay. Hull reinforcement. Storage module. Depth. Let's choose violence.
Calorie intake recommended.
Yeah. I'll get lunch. Okay. Now I've probably got a bunch of... I need more storage. I need more lockers. It's all unfolding exactly as I planned, which is to say I did not. Okay, I need quartz and titanium. Oh, no, that had titanium, I think. Titanium. Actually, no, I need that. Let me put on my filtration suit. Quartz. There we go. So now I can take all of my stuff out of my that. Oop, sploosh. Also, this person is a really impressive athlete if they can just, like, jump straight out of the water like a fucking dolphin. Alright, that's all my gold, or most of my gold. Hang on while I just... we unshrimping. Spent too much time in the prawn suit. I'm all shrimped. Oh. That is much better. Okay, gold, magnetite. Put in locker. Okay, lunchtime. Where them fish at? Come here, boy. Come here. Give me that fish. Give me that fish. Alright, that's lunch. Okay, cooking time. Hello, welcome to the Ando Cooking Show. Today we'll be making fish, and more fish. Ah, shit! I just realized I'm gonna put another RIP. I know, fuck it. The sea moths can all have one
Vital signs
epitaph.
stabilizing.
They can have a common epitaph. Okay, so what do I need? I need a bunch more titanium. Okay, prawn suit time. Let's go, baby. Hmm? What have I done, Danshies? What unholy thing have I wrought in my ignorance? People get wrecked. Alright, now there's got to be titanium around here somewhere. Oh, that's radiation. Let me just... It'd be nice if the vehicles gave you a bit more rad protection. Okay, that's salt. No, that fish was a war criminal. It's okay. What we did was a just thing. He was a war criminal, and he spoiled new release movies on Reddit. Okay, so he deserved what he got. In fact, we were merciful in dealing with that fish. He would have done far worse things to us. So you can rest easy on that one.
Do you like sushi?
Yes, I do. I like sushi. That fish did not. Fuck off, Sand Tiger. Ooh, that is a lot of salt. Oh look, I found a concentrated deposit of League of Legends. It's heavy in salt. Let me just... My right click is a little bit dimicky. Come on, we saltin', we saltin'. We grindin', boys, we grindin'. On that Sigma salt grind set. Tasty. Yeah, that'll do for now. I don't really need salt, but I figure stock up while I can. Ooh, sea moth components.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Yeah, sea moth fragment. Give me that titanium. Give it to me. I could probably put some upgrades on my prawn as well. Okay, that's more salt. I don't need that. I need titanium. Can I punch the rock? I can. But why you no grabby? Ow. Oh, fuck off, tigerfish. Tiger plants, whatever they're called. I hate those things. Hate those things. You. I see you and I hate you. Go away. Usually you can just drill these things. Yeah, there we go. You drill them and they go away. Fucking hate these things. There we go. Successfully acquired titanium. So I'm going to need 6 titanium by the looks of things. Well, actually more than 6. I need a shitload of titanium. At this point, I should just go and salvage the entirety of the Aurora. Copper. Yeah, fuck off. Hate those things. Also, it's an indictment of this game. Like, this game is usually great. The one thing I hate is, again, those tiger plants, and I hate how, like, they have no animation when you kill them. They just vanish. So clearly, I don't think the devs anticipated us killing them. See, they just vanish into another dimension. Fist of the North Star them. Omae wa mou shindeiru. Man, you know what's disappointing? So they released a boxing game for the Nintendo Switch. I sent it to my brother as a joke, like, hey, you should pick this up. And he was actually kind of into it. It's the Fist of the North Star boxing game. The only downside is, because Nintendo and Nintendo, you can't play the Western release in the Japanese dub, which means you can't play it with the original Japanese dialogue and original VAs for why am I blanking on his name? To my great shame, I'm blanking on the name of the main character, Fist of the North Star. I must commit Sudoku. I've forgotten. My brain cannot handle playing game and also remembering things. No, Forklift Kun, my beloved. Actually, here's a question. Can I, with my propulsion cannon, no, I can't. This is a tragedy. I wanted to pick up the forklift and take it home. Zero out of 10, worst game. Won't let me pick up the forklift. Clonk, clonk, clonk. Sand tigers go home. Give me that titanium. There we go. Oh, is this something useful? No, it's a trash can. Fuck off. That's down to the shroom cave, I think. I don't really want to go down there right now. Come on, give me some altitude. I guess not. Right, there we go. Why am I getting stuck? Alright, there we go. Aha. Now, if memory serves, there was a fucking tiger plant that likes to live inside this piece of wreckage. So if I go in there and punch the bastard... Wish I would stop getting stuck on things. Oh, hell yeah, it would be. That's why the second one, whatchamacallit, below zero or whatever, I know you don't get the sea moth in that one, you get the sea truck or whatever it's called. And it's the most underwater redneck thing, and I love it. It's one of the things that's got me looking forward to playing the second one. But yeah, sea truck with forklift forks. Can I pick that up? Yes, I can.
Passing 100
Welcome aboard,
meters.
Captain.
Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Fuck off, fish. But yeah, no, I reckon sea moth with forklift forks would be pretty fun. I mean, I'm not sure what utility it would necessarily have, but I mean, that's not why I want to drive the forklift in the first place. I want to drive the forklift because it's a forklift. I wanna relive my Shenmue days. Shenmue 2. Race some forklifts. Oh. Okay, I think I've got enough titanium, but let's go and find out. Okay, there's the moth. There's home. This thing could probably do with a cargo upgrade anyway, but stick it on the sea moth instead. I don't remember my base glowing that much, but anyway. Okay. It's back into the docking bay. Oop. Clonk, clonk, clonk.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I love this docking bay. It's so cool. Alright, store some titanium. Let's get some... Oh. Let's go downstairs and deconstruct some wreckage. Let's enjoy a sunrise for a quick minute. Okay, how much titanium? It's gonna give me like, yeah, 4 titanium, a fair bit. Okay, so I'll make an ingot because I need that for the depth module. And now I got quartz for glass. I need to go and get some quartz, some quartz. Seek fluid intake. Don't mind if I do. Actually, what I might do is I might grab out. Oop, I might fall in the water. That's what I might do. Titanium. I might put this in some lockers. Nyum. Stow our ingots. Alright, coffee machine. I was hoping it would be here waiting for me, but no, it was not. Give me my coffee. Oh no, it did give me my coffee.
Vital signs stabilizing.
I'm going to admit, not a coffee drinker in real life. I do not like it. Do not like the taste, and I especially do not like the smell. So, call me a heathen if you want. I know that I'm proof against your blandishments, because I know that I am correct. Coffee is gross. Boomerang fish, come here, I need to eat you. Give me the peeper. Give me the peeper. Peeper, come here. Boomerang fish, come here. Oh fuck, bitey boy.
Seek fluid intake.
Yeah, who's laughing now, you little shit? Fucking yeeted you with the grav gun. Where is bladderfish? That reminds me, did I ever scan these guys? Okay, no. Seems I have. Alright. Lunchtime. I should probably harvest and replant the garden at some point too. Mecca de Agua. Excellent. Alright. Num 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 num.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Excellent. What do I need now? I need quartz to make glass. I think I've got a bunch of lithium. Yeah, let's head over this way. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of quartz over here that I can get anyway. Yeah, I think I should have most of the materials for this. I think I've got a bunch of lithium. I've got the components to make aerogel because I've got the gooey sacks. Those sand tigers need to learn to chill. Let's just stock up on titanium while we're here. You are salt, you are not quartz. So I'm going to need 4 quartz because I need 2 glass. Ah, Diaki, welcome in. It's Turtle Day indeed, May 23rd, the day after Goth Day. How you doing? How you doing, Diaki? Welcome in. Welcome in. Yes, we had our Turtle Day presentation earlier, so I did a little hour-long talk on turtles. So that's, if you want to catch that, it'll be in the VOD. But for now, we're just playing Subnautica. So I went exploring. I got my Seamoth wrecked, and now I'm acquiring resources to rebuild it. Ah, nice, 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 nice. I hope you had a good lunch. What was on today's menu? What's lunch? Ah, great. Great. No, it'd be nice if you gave it a watch. I put a bit of work into the presentation, and by that I mean all of an hour of writing stuff down. But yeah, no, I thought it was good. Hopefully everyone had an educational time. And if they didn't, well then hopefully they saw me say silly words in Latin. Oof. Oof. Salad and a pair of loin steaks, man. You're putting me to shame. Like, that's a nice lunch. That is a nice lunch.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen
I mean,
efficiency decreased.
to be fair, I also had steak for lunch, but mine was like little crappy minute steak on a sandwich with some cheese and some salad. Like, it wasn't nice steak lunch. Give me that Seamoth fragment. But no, it sounds good. Sounds like a nice lunch. Good way to spend the middle of the day. I know. I gotta say, I think lunch is probably one of my favorite meals. I know some people like dinner, but I'm a lunch guy because it's like you spend your morning like working towards lunch. Like, that's your goal. It's survive till lunch, and then you have lunch, and you're like, well, I've eaten all this food. I can't do anything now, so you know I may as well just rest for the afternoon. Yeah, well, again, it doesn't need to be fancy. You know, if you enjoyed it and it gets you what you need, then simple is best. Ooh, is that a Cyclops Bridge fragment? I believe it is. No, I'm a great believer in simple food. Simple but flavorful. That's why one of my favorite fish to cook is barramundi, or for those of you not Australian, the Asian sea bass is what they call it in America. But yeah, barramundi is a very flavorful fish, and like, just fry it up, skin on in a pan with some salt and pepper and olive oil, and it's delicious. Like, you don't need to do a lot. You can do more with it. I do a thing where I wrap it in foil. I barbecue it with like chilies and paprika and garlic and ginger. But even then, it's a pretty straightforward thing to cook. You just throw it on the barbecue and it's done. You don't have very tasty fish where you are, Danchies? Why not? I don't know. Most places generally have pretty good fish. Depends. Because, I mean, some places it's just, how do I put this? It's reputation. Like, a great example is eel, yeah? A lot of people from an English-speaking background, whenever you say, oh yeah, eel, they're like, ugh, eel's gross. But that's just because the only eel they know of is the British style of eel, which is like jellied eels, which I'm going to admit is kind of gross. But if you have eel Japanese style, where it's grilled with soy sauce, oh, delicious. Well, I mean, that's unfortunate, but freshwater fish are equally quite good. I remember being in, first time I visited America when I was in Washington. I had, anything jellied, anything using like aspic or like gelatin. Yeah, it's definitely sus. I agree with you on that one, Diachi. But yeah, when I was in America for the first time, the hotel I was staying at had this dish called angry trout. And it was a freshwater trout stuffed with like bacon and chili and potato, and then like grilled, and it was delicious. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Diaki, that anything jellied that's not sweet is kind of weird. Which is why I hate those like weird 1960s cookbooks where they're like, hey, behold, jellied ham. And you're like, no, begone. Begone. I banish you to the murk of the past. Get thee hence with your jellied ham. Yeah, well, thankfully it didn't get that much traction here in the sense that no one eats it anymore, but yeah, not a great idea in my opinion. I'm glad that we have invented far better foods that Australia can lay claim to. Things like the lamington. Come at me, New Zealanders, it's ours. Ooh. Yeah, no, high quality sashimi. That's an experience. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur of sashimi, because I'm not a huge, like, a lot of sashimi tends to be maguro, which is tuna. I don't like tuna. My preferred sashimi is actually kingfish. But I have tried some different things in my time. But yeah, and it's funny because like I remember trying sashimi for the first time in Australia and it was good. But then I had it in Japan and somehow they just do it even better. I don't know how. Like, we have good fish here and in Japan it was just so good. I don't know. It's that, I guess, the cultural expertise, I guess. But yeah, no, it's kind of weird because, like, I remember we got my dad to try sashimi and he's not a huge fan of it, but he at least tried it, which was kind of weird because my dad was very much like the sort of guy who'd be like, like, raw fish? Are you kidding me? Raw fish? Like, no, I'm not eating raw fish. But now he loves Japanese food. He's just like, yeah, Japanese food. Let's go get Japanese. I'm just like, all right. When did this change? I need lithium. Lithium. Actually, I need to get that out and stop dancing on the steps. Unequip that. Very good. Yes. Yes. Okay, depth module mark 2. I need plasteel and magnetite and refresh my memory. How do I make plasteel? Yeah, yes and no. Because there are some things like there are certain places where the food is good because they have kept the tradition, but there are other places where it's not as good, if that makes sense. I don't know how true this is because I've never actually been there, but I have several like Indian and Pakistani friends who are like, yeah, Indian food is better outside of India. They're like, yeah, like go to a good Indian restaurant in London and you will get better Indian food than you probably will in India. And I've heard similar things about like Thai food as well, but I don't know how true it is. What do I need? Plasteel ingot. Because that may have just been people I know who are kind of like, yeah, like, you know, grown up in Australia and like that a bit better. Because sometimes you get used to the local conveniences, and the local weird things that people do. Because actually, that's... Oh, actually, I want to... Because I know we got some folks from around the world here. I got some... Yeah, pizza in Italy and pizza in America. Well, see, so pizza in America is kind of a weird one, right? Because a lot of American pizzas are like... They're derived from particular localized Italian pizzas that have then evolved. So I think it's Detroit style pizza is a derivation of it's different to New York and Chicago style because it's a derivation of a different type of pizza. It's from Sicilian pizza or something like that, which is why it's so different. But I wanna start some controversy in chat. I wanna see chat convince me on something or fight to the death or something. So chips, yeah, or as the Americans call them, French fries, yeah. What's your preferred condiment for them? What do you put on your chips when you got chips? Are you? Oh, I thought I already got that one.
Integrating new PDA data.
Yeah, what's your fry condiment? Are you vinegar? Are you lemon? Are you curry sauce? Or if you're a true-blooded Australian, are we going with the chicken salt, the greatest fry condiment known to man? Based chicken salt. I need to know so that I can just salt. Okay. So you're a match according to what your main is, right? The fries are a side and match according to what the main is. All right, elaborate. Give me some examples. Too bad, Danchies. You can earn your food by giving me an answer. But yeah, no, I want some answers. Give me some examples. What are some combinations that you would consider to be unusual? Ooh, controversial statement, Avatar. Controversial statement. I would disagree, but that's mainly because I don't like barbecue sauce for the most part. Or rather, should I say, I have yet to find a barbecue sauce that I like the taste of. I know a lot of people are like, oh, traditional barbecue sauce is better. But, yeah, the usual barbecue sauce you get in Australia, not a fan of it. It's too sweet. Okay, soy sauce and honey with meat. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That one's actually not too bad. Again, I find honey can be a little bit sweet for my taste, but no, like, again, I can see that working. What am I swimming around for? I need to go upstairs where all my metal is. Just in the ocean having a good time. My turtle instincts kicked in and I was just like, return to the water. Just all of the titanium. Peppermint sauce? Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take dissenting views to all of you. Yeah, I do not like peppermint. Maybe it's, well, I don't mind it, but maybe it's like, for me, peppermint tastes like toothpaste. Oh yeah, Papas Bravas. I've heard of that. It's like little potatoes with like sauce and stuff on it, isn't it? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Again, I know people say that a lot with barbecue sauces of like, yeah, get the old style or whatever, but yeah, I haven't really found one that's works for me. I don't know. I haven't had waffle fries enough to really know. Oh, yeah. Yes. No, I think Diaki, paprika aioli, yeah, that sounded good. Like, that sounded pretty good. Really, Danshies? All right. I'm starting. Let us start a GoFundMe. Let us start a GoFundMe to get this poor underprivileged Danshies some barbecue. This is an emergency. We need to help the underprivileged Danshies. Because, well, it also depends. I mean, like, to be fair, there's barbecue and there's barbecue. Proper American barbecue I have not had that much of. But that's also because I'm lazy. Yeah, I will concur with you on the vinegar. I am a vinegar on chips person. I will die on this hill, because other people will not. But no, I do like vinegar on chips. Sometimes just plain lemon is nice. Sea salt is based. Like, sea salt's good. Again, chicken salt is the ultimate Australian topping. It is so good. It is amazing. If you've never had it, seek it out, find it where you can, and enjoy the glory of it. I also saw a thing recently about adding it to fried chicken, and I kind of want to try that. But yeah, circling back to something Diaki said about steak and stuff like that. Noob Saibot main, a man of taste. Noob Saibot, best Mortal Kombat... Actually, no, second best Mortal Kombat character after Reptile. So, what is chicken salt? Long story short, dude back in the day owned a chicken shop, and he came up with a salt mixture for seasoning his chickens. It's a mixture of chicken salt, celery powder, garlic powder, sweet paprika, a little bit of MSG, I think. I think oregano, I can't remember, but it's a mixture of tasty things. It was originally for seasoning chicken, but people found out it just really tastes fucking good on chips, and has become the, like, Australian mainstay of, like, you order hot chips from, like, a fish and chip shop or something, and they'll be like, do you want chicken salt? And the correct answer is yes, you want chicken salt. You can buy it online, but you can also just, like, over here, just buy it from regular grocery stores and stuff. Yeah, I haven't really had anywhere that does season curly fries. I went to this, so there's this place locally, and people are going to find this weird. So there's this restaurant locally. It's a weird steak joint, because what they do is they bring your steak out, and it's raw. It's fucking raw. And they bring out a rock. It's like a flat piece of slate that's been heated up in an oven. And so this rock is like 400 degrees or whatever. And you cook your steak yourself, right? And it's a bit of a gimmick, and it's kind of overrated. And yeah, I went there with family because we were like, hey, let's try it out, like it's new and like whatever. So we tried it out, and yeah, it was kind of mid. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was also one of those things of, like, seriously, like, I come to a restaurant to pay someone else to cook my steak. You know, if I wanted to cook a steak, I could have just stayed at home. But yeah, they with the chips, they did offer, oh, cool. Well, hopefully your brother-in-law's place does it better than this one, because this one was, it was like, again, the steak was good, but the rest of it was kind of eh. But the chips had like Cajun seasoning on them, and I normally love Cajun seasoning, but this was like they dumped half a packet, and there was more Cajun seasoning than there was chip. I felt like I was just eating like a packet of Cajun seasoning. All right, I need enameled glass. Enameled glass. Glass, 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 glass. Yeah, I don't know how I got into the topic of food, but here we are. Tooth, tooth, tooth. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad it's doing fine. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes that's the case. Like, there's a guy here who's famous for owning chicken shops. Because what he does is he like opens a shop, gets it running really well, gets a good customer base set up, and then he sells it. And like, that's his model. That's how he makes money. And the dude's like a millionaire because that's what he does. He sets up a successful business and then sells it. Although part of the way it works is because of the fact that inevitably, as soon as he sells it, it gets a bit less good, and so all the customers leave and go to whatever new one he's opened. Yeah, no, there's, like, again, people sell their restaurants for all sorts of reasons, which is actually one of the unfortunate things in Australia. A lot of the old classic fish and chip shops are closing down, which is a tragedy.
Vital signs stable.
Excellent. I got the water. I need lithium, I think. Actually, let's get some lunch, then we'll go lithium exploring. I think that's why I started talking about food. I think it was because I was catching fish to eat. Fish, fimsh, 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 fimsh. Yeah, I haven't had it in a while either. Part of it's because the local fish and chip shop's gone a little bit like it's not as good as it used to be. We used to have a fish and chip shop near work that closed down, unfortunately, and that used to be my Friday lunch. I'd go and get fish and chips from there, and it was really good. But unfortunately, they closed down during COVID, so no more fish and chip for me. I had some really good fish and chips when I was in Scotland, though. Like, I will say this, Jesus, the Scots, they can fry anything. Which got me kind of concerned, because I went to this fish and chip shop, and I only had a limited amount of time to get lunch before my train was leaving. So I got fish and chips, just a bit of cod and some chips. But on the menu, like, they had the usual Scottish staples, like, you know, fried jam sandwich, fried Mars bar, the Scottish usuals. But they also had deep fried pizza, whole or half, and I have no idea. Like, how does one deep fry a pizza? Do you like fold it like a calzone and put it in the fryer, or is it just like the whole pie? They just put it in the fryer. What monstrosity had they wrought? What evils awaited me in that fry oil? Oh, actually, that reminds me. Sin, if you're still here, did you get your mashies, and were they good? Because I need to know. I have not sampled the KFC mashies. I hear everyone talking about them. I don't know if they're good or not, because the name sounds mid. Alright, diamond stash. Okay, that's a egg. I don't need egg. Gig. Okay, there's got to be some lithium around here somewhere. Fuck off, Bone Shark. KFC mashies, they're like balls of mashed potato that are then deep fried, if that makes sense. They're a local KFC item that recently has been re-released, and everyone's like, fuck yeah, smashies. Okay, no, it's silver ore, I don't need silver. And me being me, I'm like, huh? I've never tried these things, are they good? It's like, I remember the first time I went to America, they just released the Double Down or whatever, and I was like, huh, ain't that such an American thing? You know, making a sandwich out of 2 pieces of chicken. Okay. Well, yep. I think bombs is a better name than mashies. Okay, so they're more like a like a potato bun kind of thing, like a Chinese like bao bun a bit, except smaller. Okay, interesting. All right, where's my lithium? Clonk, clonk, clonk. Oof. Yeah, I was gonna say, that actually doesn't sound half bad. I don't know, I can't think of anything particularly unique that we do in terms of fried food. There's probably something, I just can't think of it. But, yeah, the one... Yeah, no, can't think of anything. Head empty. The only thing I can think about is the argument over whether it's called a potato cake or a potato scallop. The correct answer is scallop. This is objectively true. I verify this by the fact that I'm a New South Welshman. Plant. There's got to be some lithium around here somewhere. Humpst, 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 humpst. Oh, fuck off, Bone Shark. I will punch you. Silver ore. I remember last time I was over here, there were like big deposits of lithium. Just need to find them. Also, what is that glowy thing? Oh, it's one of those, just hadn't rendered in. I kind of wish this thing had better lights. Is that what I think it is? Titanium? Lead? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Go away. Well, you were right. I did punch a fish. He forced my hand, but I did punch a fish. Oh, I don't want to go deeper. I don't want to go deeper. I don't want to go deeper. That's a thermal vent. This is turning into more of an adventure than I wanted. Bone shark, don't try it. Fuck you. Trying to double team me? I will smack a bitch. Oh, what's this? Ooh, whoa? What's this?
100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Stasis rifle.
Passing 200 meters. Oxygen
Scan, scan, scan.
greatly decreased.
What's in here? Oh yeah, I've still got a bunch of wreckage in here. No wonder. I should have converted that to titanium while I had the chance. Get in the prawn. Get in the prawn. Fuck off, bone sharks. Be gone. Ooh, uranium. Go away. These guys just don't want to fuck off. Okay, let's put some repairs on. There we go. The hunt for lithium continues. Don't think I don't see you. Don't think I don't see you. I can try it. I punched all your buddies and I'll punch you too. This is my ocean. Be gone. Fucking 3 of them this time. Get punched. Talk shit, get hit.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Uranium. Fuck off. Are you kidding me? You really wanted to make that much of a deal of it that you are now dead? It's just a casual Tuesday evening, punching sharks. Get punched, idiot. Yeah, you better run. You know what's coming for you. creature egg. Fuck off. Copper ore. Titanium. Need lithium. I'm here for a purpose other than just punching sharks. Ooh, is that what I think it is? No, that's silver, isn't it? Okay, that's a volcano. Fuck off. These sharks, they be harassing me, they be menacing me. I'm just trying to go about my business. They're out here causing me nothing but trouble. Be gone. Be gone. You too. Alright. Turtle Day is now over. It is now International Punch a Shark Day. Thought you were smart, huh? Fucking... Fucking run. Yeah, it's not a better day, but it's I don't know, it's cathartic for me. Oh, is this what I think it is? You better not be fucking silver. No, it's silver. All I'm finding is silver and uranium. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson? Exactly. Fun fact, did you know that Shark Week is the safest time to go swimming? Because all the sharks are too busy appearing on Shark Week to be in the ocean attacking you. You think you can run? That's right, I got the Superman jets. I gotta do some quick repairs. Oh. I maybe shouldn't have maybe gotten out in the thermal vent, but anyway. Oh, no, I don't want access upgrades. Getting the prawn. Oh yeah, no, it's an entirely reasonable and scientific fact that I in no way just made up. We deal only in completely accurate and reasonable statements here. In no way do we say anything that is outlandish or untrue. In other words, would I lie to you? Fuck off. Okay, more silver, more uranium. Okay, let's not drop down the volcanic vent. Said let's not drop down the volcanic vent. Why are there so many sharks? I will fight all of you. This is my ocean. Fuck around and find out. this part. I've lost count of how many sharks I've killed. That's okay. I figure I've got to find my uranium eventually. Not uranium, lithium. See, it gets boring after a while. You got to start doing the trick shots. You got to punch the sharks in midair. Oh yeah, speaking of, did we hear that Invisible Shark released recently? I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little bit tempted to watch it. I am running a little bit low on power as well. Fuck off, Bacteria Shark. You'll never see it? Why not? Well, actually, no, that makes sense. God damn it, I walked right into that one. This is the problem with streaming. So much of your brain power is divided between managing the stream and playing the game and reading the chat that I walk right into those ones. Is that really one to be proud of, Avatar? It's like fighting a blind man. Let's be honest. There better not be any more fucking sharks around here, I swear to God. I just need a way to get home. I mean, have I been doing laps? So that's the diamond stash. It's the shroom cave. I will fight all of you. Ah, man. I think I've gone too deep and I can't get up. Okay, let's charge up. Okay. Thrusting up, 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 up. Okay. Boost. Yeah, I know I need water. Wait, can I? Thrust. probably going to die from dehydration, which is going to suck. Right, well, I think I'm going to call it there, because recovering the prawn is going to be a bit of a pain. Also, if I've been going for 3 hours, seriously? How did I manage that? Anyway, yeah, okay, I think we're going to call it there. I'll go back and get the prawn another time. Alright, well, let's see who's around for raiding. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay, we go back to the Twitch. We see. Okay, who is online? Let's go Piranha. We haven't raided them in a while. So we will wait for the goddamn ads to load. You are welcome, Danchies. As always, I stream every Mondays and Tuesdays. And I may be doing... Actually, I might be doing some extra ones this week as well, because Bolt Gun comes out tomorrow, so I might be doing a Thursday stream for that. But yes, thank you for joining me on World Turtle Day. It's been fun. So, yes, thanks for dropping on by. If you did miss the turtle section of the stream, feel free to watch the VOD. The first hour or so is basically me just rambling about turtles, and everyone listening in what I assume is rapt and not confused silence. So I'm going to send us off on a quick little raid. Once the fucking ads have played. Okay. So I'm gonna send us forth. Thank you all for dropping by, and I will see you all probably Thursday. Da 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 da.